Hello, everyone. This is Jeffrey Kerr. I'm here today with a pair of filmmakers behind a new movie titled Condition of Return. It's currently out on streaming platforms such as Apple TV Plus, YouTube Movies, Google Play, Vudu, Fandango, and Amazon Prime Video. Would you guys mind introducing yourselves one by one?
I'm Tommy Stovall, the director.
And I'm Marc Sterling, the producer.
To start things off, would you mind telling us about Condition of Return?
Condition of Return is a psychological thriller starring Annalyn McCord and Dean Cain, as well as Natasha Henstridge and James Russo. It's about a woman who is arrested for committing a mass shooting in a church. Dean Cain plays a psychologist who's brought in to interview her and determine if she's fit to stand trial.
How did this project come about to you guys?
I found the script online. The writer's name is John Spare, and he wrote this script about 10 years ago, I believe, and I found it about 8 years ago and optioned it. It took us a few years to get it off the ground, and we finally raised the money and got the project going a couple of years ago, and we shot it last year.
And how did you go about casting the film, and what was it like getting to work with your actors?
I had seen Annalyn McCord in a movie called Excision, and I was so impressed with her that I contacted her manager and sent her an offer to play the lead character, and she accepted. And once she accepted, we kind of had a project to work with. Shortly after, Annalyn shares the same manager with Dean Cain, and so we offered the other lead to Dean Cain, and he said yes, and so it went from there. We put out the word, put the breakdown out for the rest of the cast, and got a lot of great actors sending in auditions and so forth, and it was great. We had a wonderful cast. We had, like I said, Natasha Henstridge as well as James Russo, plus all the supporting characters were played by wonderful actors. It was great to work with them. You know, they were all just really nice people, great at what they do, and it came together really well.
We had about 38 actors. And what was cool about it is when they were on set, it felt like a family because it's a really calm environment and something where everyone feels comfortable talking and working with everyone, and there's no yelling and there's no anything like that. It's a very smooth running type of production we like to run. So it was really cool, and the actors respect that too because we're treating them nicely. They treat you the same way, and everyone was so over the top nice.
Well, yeah, that's something I think should definitely be considered for really any job is, treat your colleagues the way you want to be treated.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yep. What was it like getting to shoot the movie?
Well, we shot the movie in Phoenix, Arizona. It was quite challenging because we had a lot of locations we had to find and shoot at. We had over 21 locations, and so that was challenging, but it was a great experience. We had a wonderful crew. We used a local crew here in Phoenix. It was a really wonderful collaborative experience, working with all these people, and everyone, we're on the same page at what we were trying to do, and I think it really shows in the film.
And we had, with the locations, there were some things that were a little more challenging to find some of the locations. We had to build sets for the first time, and an independent film building a set, you have to be creative so it doesn't get too expensive. But we built the inside of a commercial airplane. We built a prison cell. We built the prison cafeteria and had to really doctor up some of the other locations. And we had some great crew members that really added to that had some vision and made it look real.
Nice. And I don't know if either of you guys saw the recently released The Creator, but there was also a lot of talk about how that, despite having the look of a movie that costs like, 150 to $200 million, it cost only $80 million. And part of what made it cheaper than usual is the fact they used real locations.
Yeah. During this time too, it's hard to find a courtroom, or a prison that'll just open the doors and say, "Oh yeah, come in and film." So that makes it, more challenging because we, you beat our heads against the wall, and we, our location scout, tried, looked at, everywhere from here down to Tucson up to, north of Flagstaff, just to get, to look for what could be available. And, we have to consider moving a crew back and forth too, and the time and the cost to do that as well.
And Tommy, you wore a lot of hats on this film as the director, producer, and editor. How did you manage to juggle all those responsibilities?
Well, to me, it's all kind of part of the same job. It's all part of the process. Mark and I, we both produce, and he handles a lot of the stuff behind the scenes that, we divide it up to where he does a lot of the stuff behind the scenes that I don't have to worry about. And then, once I'm directing, I concentrate on that. And editing is just like I said, part of the process. When I'm directing, I'm constantly thinking about editing as well as we're shooting the scenes, how the scene is going to be put together. And to me, that's in a lot of ways, it's the funnest part of the process is the editing, because you get in there and you get all the material that you work so hard getting, and you get to see it come together for the first time. And that's really where the movie is made, is in the editing room.
And what do you hope audiences take away from this film?
Well, I hope they're entertained first and foremost, and I hope it gives them something to think about. There's, some really serious topics explored in this film. There's some issues that, people will debate about, and I hope it just gets people thinking, and, thinking about their beliefs and why they believe what they believe, and maybe it gives them a different perspective on these particular subjects.
And Condition of Return may have been granted a waiver for your cast to promote the film despite the SAG-AFTRA strike, yet at the time of this recording, it was just resolved last week. Now, what does that mean to you?
Well, it was wonderful because it allowed our actors to promote the film. We released the film in theaters back at the end of September, and it just recently started streaming, like you mentioned, on Amazon, iTunes, Apple TV, and so forth. But our actors were able to promote the film, which was, really important. When you put the film out there, it's important to be able to promote. And luckily, SAG gave us the interim agreement, which allowed us to do that. Our actors, especially Lin McCord, our lead actress, she's very passionate about the project, and she's been able to do a lot of interviews and talk about, why the film is important to her. And so it's allowed us to get the word out for the film.
Yeah, because this is one of the first films, as times progressed, that we've used social media as well, as much as we have. Even 5 years ago, you could say, okay, Facebook is kind of the way to, promote something. Well, now it's, you got all these other places in addition to Facebook. With the actors being able to participate and have their followers and then their friends and invite, it was important for us to have that element to start. And they're willing to continue to do it as the movie is out.
Yeah, and going back to the beginning, how did you guys first get started in the industry?
I started making movies back when I was a teenager in high school. I made movies just for fun with my friends. At the time, I didn't think about, doing it for real, go out and actually make a movie. But later on, that was my goal. I just decided that it's what I wanted to do. I wanted to try to make a movie. And I told Marc that's what I wanted to do. And he says, okay, I'll help. And so that's what we did. We just went out and I wrote a script. We raised some money and just decided to give it a shot, not really knowing what we were doing. We learned as we went, and we had a great time doing it. So we wanted to keep doing it.
And for those who'd like to pursue a career in filmmaking, where do you think would be a good place to start?
I would chime in first to say they should volunteer and be part of, like as a production assistant or whatever, on current productions wherever they can, because you learn on set. You can't teach, you can't explain it, anything. It's just like, this is what happens until you're on set. Then, once you go through one movie, you talk about, 20, 25 days of shooting, on average, then normally that person has, 12-hour, 15-hour days, and they know a lot. So that's my 2 cents.
I agree. Yeah, go out and get some experience on a movie set, and then just go out and do it. That's what I always say. The tools are there for anyone who wants to make a movie. They're affordable. Just go out and make your movie one way or the other.
Yeah, and I myself happen to be an inspiring screenwriter, and I recently wrote a script I'm trying to get produced independently here in my area of residence, so I guess fingers crossed for that.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, good.
Before we go, do either of you have any other upcoming projects that you'd like to share with us?
Well, we're just still promoting Condition of Return, hoping it does well. I have a couple of projects on the back burner, nothing to give too in-depth about, but one's an action movie, one's another thriller type movie. Hopefully, someday we'll be able to get those going.
And this being our 5th film, the first one we did was called Hate Crime, and then the next one was Sedona, and then Aaron's Blood, and then Room for Rent. This being the 5th one, it's it's kind of like, you say, it's a passion, and a lot of it has to do with money. You have to have enough money to make the movie, to plan, make, and to allow enough money in post-production and promote the film. One reason Tommy does a lot of the stuff in post is because he's cheap. He's inexpensive, and he's good, and he knows what he wants. That's all I want to say.
Tommy, Marc, I thank you both very much for devoting your time to this interview. It was great getting to talk to you guys.
Yeah, thanks very much for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us.
And for those who'd like to keep up with either of your careers, where can people find you on the internet?
Well, you can go to our production website. It's passage.com, PASIDG.com. You can see all our films there. And for Condition of Return, go to conditionofreturn.com to find out where you can watch the film.
Be sure to catch Condition of Return on demand. You can find more information through a link in the episode notes. So thanks again for joining me today, guys. This was great.
Hey,
Okay,
thanks
thanks
so
so
much.
much.
Appreciate it.